The fogged window of the Winter Garden Cafe held the night's cold like a mirror. Inside, the smell of coffee and fresh bread tried, and failed, to soften the heavy silence around Ethan Blackwell, 38, a man who had built an empire out of spreadsheets and sleeplessness. Outside, snow drifted down in slow-motion flakes, as if time itself had paused to study him. The man who had everything except someone waiting at home. 23 blind dates behind him. This was number 24. "Just one more, Ethan. If it doesn't work, I promise I'll stop," his sister had said in that voice that braided tenderness with stubborn hope. He'd agreed only to quiet the guilt. At 7:15, he could already script the ending. Elegant woman, practiced smile, questions about private jets and market caps, and then silence. Always the same scene. A server topped off his coffee. He nodded, distracted. The money he'd earned never managed to fill the hollow it left behind. In the window's reflection, his suit looked perfect, expensive, suffocating. The bell above the door rung a small silver note, and Ethan's routine split clean in two. A woman stepped in, carrying winter in her hair. Isabel Grant, early 30s, wore a cream dress with a simple cut that gave away handmade skill. Next to her, a little girl of 4 clutched a worn-out teddy, one of those toys patched with stories and stitches of love. Ethan's shoulders went tight on instinct. A child? No. That had to be a mistake. Lauren would never set him up like this. But the woman looked nervous, asked the hostess something, and the hostess pointed to him. Isabel went pale, hesitated, and walked over. "Mr. Blackwell?" He steadied himself, ready to shut it down politely. "I'm Isabel Grant. I'm so sorry to show up like this, and with Rosie. The sitter canceled. I couldn't leave her alone. I know bringing a child to a date is completely inappropriate. If you want, we can go." For reasons he couldn't explain, the words, "Please sit," slipped out before judgment could catch them. Isabel blinked, surprised. The little girl climbed into the chair beside her mother, set the teddy on the table, and announced, "This is Mr. Buttons. He's shy, but he likes you. He says you have kind eyes." Laughter rose in Ethan's throat, sound he hadn't heard from himself in a long time. "Tell Mr. Buttons the feeling's mutual." Rosie's smile lit the room, and for a moment the cold outside melted away. Isabel, still mortified, tried to explain between apologies and small breaths. "I didn't know you were Ethan Blackwell. Your sister only said you work too much and need someone real. If I'd known who you are, I wouldn't have come, especially not with a child." He shifted, uncomfortable with the name and the weight it carried. "What else did she say about me?" "That you're good, but sad. That you have everything, except time to be happy." Inside him, something gave, like ice cracking under a pale sun. Menus arrived. Isabel held them carefully, hiding the panic that flickered at the prices. "The hot chocolate here is the best in the city, Rosie. Want to try?" Rosie's eyes went bright, but her mother intervened, sheepish. "No, It's on me," he said gently. "Please." Rosie clapped without thinking. Isabel whispered a barely audible, "Thank you." While they waited, Ethan noticed Isabel's hands, small, pricked by needle and thread, fingers with thin calluses. Not salon softness, but the steady strength of someone who builds with what she has. The silence between them was full of unsaid history. When the hot chocolate arrived, Rosie sipped it into a whipped cream mustache and giggled. Isabel laughed, too, relief mixed with embarrassment. Ethan couldn't recall the last time someone laughed for real near him. Conversation found its way through stumbles and pauses. Isabel shared pieces. The husband who left when she was pregnant, the long days as a seamstress, the nightly balancing act between bills and dreams. Ethan listened in quiet, not from boredom, but respect. In the corner, an older couple traded conspiratorial looks. The snow kept falling. For the first time in years, Ethan felt an absurd sense of home. At 8:30, Rosie began to droop over a plate of cookies. "She needs sleep," Isabel said softly. Ethan hesitated, then stood. "Let me drive you home." "You don't have to." "I want to." Outside wind cut like glass, but Isabel's smile was warm. "Thank you, Ethan, for not walking out." He smiled back, and for the first time in a long while, he believed destiny might have a sense of humor. The last snow of winter softened their footprints, erasing the path back to loneliness. The car slid through the night like a quiet shadow. Inside, Rosie slept, streetlights painting bars of gold across her face. Isabel watched her in the mirror, heart tight, not with fear, but with an unfamiliar ease beside this man. Ethan drove with a gentleness that defied everything she imagined about billionaires. No impatience, no judgment, just the heater's hum and snow whispering against glass. "I usually think rich people live on another planet," she said, breaking the quiet. "Sometimes I think so too," he answered. "Only my planet is cold and empty." Honesty disarmed her. When they pulled up to her aging building, peeling paint, narrow stairwell, time-yellowed walls, the contrast stung. Ethan got out first, lifting Rosie with the care you give a secret. Inside, the air smelled like soap and clean fabric. A paper nativity rested on the shelf. A string of lights blinked unevenly, as if they had a heartbeat. "It's modest," Isabel said, embarrassed. "It's cozy," he replied. While she tucked Rosie into bed, Ethan wandered to the corner where an old sewing machine sat, surrounded by fabric and paper patterns. He ran a finger over a half-finished dress. Soft blue, perfect seams, tiny hand-embroidered buds. "You made this?" "Yes. For a client who may not be able to pay. Sometimes I make it anyway." "Even without payment?" "Not everything we make has to bring money, Ethan. Sometimes it brings peace." The sentence hit like a punch. How many things had he built that brought him everything except peace? She handed him a cup of tea. "If you want, I could make one for you too." "One what?" "A suit. I promise it'll cost less than the ones you wear." They laughed, shy but real. Near midnight, Ethan realized he didn't want to leave. But Isabel's gaze shifted just enough to warn him. "Don't get used to this," she said quietly. "To what?" "To this place. To us. Your world, the real one, doesn't usually fit inside apartments like this." He wanted to say she was wrong, that he didn't fit in his world anymore. The words would not come. He watched her reflection in the window, a tired but unbroken woman, framed by colored fabric and fragile dreams. Before he left, he set a small note on the table. "For Mr. Buttons, thank you for introducing me to your family." When she found it, Isabel smiled. For the first time in years, she felt life might still know how to stitch surprises. Days passed. Ethan's phone stayed quiet. No updates from Lauren, no new setups. But something inside him had shifted. Meetings dragged. Numbers mattered less. From the corner office, the skyline, once a trophy, looked like a prison with invisible bars. He thought of Isabel sewing at night, of Rosie drawing hearts, of blinking lights that tried their best to be stars. He called. "I was hoping you'd ring," Isabel answered, smiling through the line. "How do you know it's me? You sound like someone still learning how to laugh." He laughed, and it was the most honest sound she'd heard all week. They saw each other often, small cafes, parks, neighborhood bookstores. Isabel never asked for anything, and that unsettled him. "Do you ever wonder what I can offer you?" he asked one afternoon. "No," she said. "But I wonder if you still know how to receive." The question lingered. The relationship deepened in small acts. Ethan fixed the drafty window in Rosie's room. Isabel taught him to sew on a button. He chuckled at the pun. Maybe life really was stitching his missing pieces. But happiness, he would learn, never arrives without a price. One gray afternoon, as Ethan waited outside Isabel's building, a sleek black car pulled up. A woman stepped out with the cutting voice of someone used to winning. "So it's true. The city's most eligible man wasting time on a seamstress?" Clara Bennett, his partner and ex, a woman who controlled anything she didn't love. "It's none of your business, Clara. Anything that affects the company's image is my business. A child, a rundown neighborhood, a woman who sews dresses. You know what the press will do with this, right?" Silence. Doubt crept in. The old fear returned, the fear of judgment, of losing control. Clara's smile was poison. "I always knew you were too soft for this world of cheap feelings. Don't ruin everything now." She drove off, leaving the air heavy with perfume and contempt. Minutes later, Isabel appeared. Serene face, thread-marked hands. "Everything okay?" Ethan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Sure." From then on, Isabel felt the distance grow, shorter texts, longer silences. Rosie asked for him and didn't understand his absence. One night, Isabel chose courage over pride. She went to Blackwell Industries. Security looked her up and down, but eventually called upstairs. Ethan met her in a cold, bright marble lobby. "Why did you stop looking for me?" He paused. "Because maybe Clara's right. Maybe my world doesn't fit yours." The silence that followed was the most painful of Isabel's life. "Then it's a shame your world is that small," she said, and walked away. That night, Ethan understood he'd lost something money could never buy. The peace she'd given him, and the chance to begin again. Across town, Isabel cried quietly, sewing alone under a weak lamp. Each stitch felt like a way to mend her own heart. Winter gave way to rain. High above the city, Ethan stared through the glass of his tower with emptied eyes. 3 weeks since the break, and nothing had gone back to normal. Meetings continued, numbers grew, investors smiled. Everything sounded hollow, like applause in an empty theater. That morning, Lauren walked in without knocking, eyes sharp. "You look like a ghost." "I'm fine." "Liar." She folded her arms. "You turned Grandpa's company into a global force, but you can't handle your own heart." "What happened with Isabel?" He moved away from the window. "She deserves someone who won't have to choose between her and what he built." "Who said she asked you to choose?" Lauren exhaled. "You confuse love with threat, Ethan. Real love doesn't take from you. It gives back what the world stole." The words hung in the air. When she left, he stood still, feeling the weight of his own cowardice. That same afternoon, Isabel sewed in the quiet. The machine's steady rhythm filled the space Ethan had left. Rosie drew a page full of hearts, 2 figures, hand in hand. "Is that you and Ethan?" Isabel asked, carefully neutral. "Uh-huh, but now he's gone. I think Mr. Buttons is sad." Isabel smiled with tender sorrow. Tell Mr. Buttons that grown-ups sometimes lose the path, but they find it again. Even when it rains? Especially when it rains. Outside, thunder rolled. Destiny was about to test her promise. That night, a violent storm hit. Downed trees, howling wind, a blackout across the block. Isabel lit candles and pulled Rosie close. "It'll pass soon, sweetheart." A sharp crack shook the building. The ceiling over the sewing corner, softened by years of leaks, gave way. Concrete crashed onto the table, crushing the old machine. Rosie screamed. Isabel ran, covering her with her body. No one was hurt, but the shock left marks. The small studio that fed them, their history, lay shattered. Morning brought another blow, a notice from the building manager. The structure was condemned, 48 hours to vacate. Paralyzed, Isabel stared at the paper. She had nowhere to go. In a moment of desperation, she called Lauren, not Ethan. Lauren was a client after all, and might store fabrics and dresses for a while. Hours later, Lauren arrived and took in the wreckage. "Oh, Isabel, this is a disaster." "I'll figure it out, I always do. You can't handle this alone. Ethan doesn't need to know." Lauren didn't argue. She recognized the pride in Isabel's eyes, the same iron pride Ethan had worn for years, and understood they were too alike to heal apart. That evening, Ethan came home exhausted. An envelope sat on his table, Lauren's handwriting. Inside, a photo of Isabel and Rosie in front of the ruined apartment, clutching waterlogged boxes of fabric, and a note. "You always said love is a risky investment, so invest." His heart kicked hard. He grabbed his coat and keys and ran out into the rain. Isabel's stairwell echoed with dripping and hurried voices. Ethan took the steps two at a time. He found her on her knees trying to save soaked fabric. Rosie slept on a pile of blankets. "Isabel." She turned, startled, and closed her face in self-defense. "I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to help." "I don't need your help." "Yes, you do. And so do I." She was quiet. "I left because I was afraid. Of judgment, of what I'd have to surrender. I've realized I already lost what mattered. You." Tears came without permission. "What do you want me to do with that now, Ethan?" "Let me fix what I can. Not with money, with time, with presence." She studied him. For the first time since goodbye, she believed him. Before she could answer, a groan tore through the hallway. A section of stairs collapsed. Panic. Ethan moved fast, getting people out, carrying Rosie to the car through dust and shouting. Minutes later, firefighters arrived. Isabel shook, streaked with tears and plaster. "You could have died," he said, holding her face. "And you could have stayed away," she answered with a half-smile. "But you didn't." Between sirens and smoke, something shifted inside them. Fear made room for certainty. Love isn't the absence of risk. It's the courage to stay when things fall apart. In the days that followed, Ethan rented a small temporary apartment for Isabel and Rosie. She tried to refuse, but he insisted. "This isn't charity, it's gratitude. You taught me what care looks like." In the corner of the new living room, he set a box tied with red ribbon. "Open it." She untied the bow and found a new sewing machine and an envelope with a contract. "It's a proposal," he said. "A studio of your own, equipment, rent covered for 5 years, you name it, you steer it." Isabel went still, tears sliding. "Why?" "Because what you make is art. I want to belong to the world you create, not force you into mine." Rosie wrapped him in a hug. "Mr. Buttons is going to love the new studio." Ethan laughed, and for the first time in years, The laugh came whole. Later, as Isabel folded the fabric they'd salvaged, she looked at Ethan and saw it. The man in front of her wasn't the same. The suit was still there. The money, too. But now there was something rarer. Humility. Winter ended. So did the season of pain that had stitched them together. From here on out, they would rebuild. Together. Spring brought lilac air and the hum of a new beginning. In a quiet neighborhood, a small studio took shape. Fresh paint smelled like hope. Colorful bolts of fabric hung like flags of freedom. Above the door, a hand-painted sign, button and thread, dreams tailored. Ethan showed up daily, sometimes with coffee, sometimes just to listen to the machine sing. Rosie turned fabric rolls into a playground of joy. The studio became more than a project. It became a home in progress, a symbol of healing. But as their love grew in the quiet, the outside world noticed. And the world of money never forgets a potential scandal. One morning, Lauren stepped into Ethan's office, tense. "You need to see this." She set a tablet on his desk. Headline: CEO trades boardroom for seamstress, the romance-rocking Blackwell Industries. Stolen photos: Isabel opening the studio, Ethan holding Rosie's hand, the three of them laughing in a park. The article dripped with innuendo about manipulation and motives. "Clara?" Ethan asked. Lauren nodded. "She still has sway with the board. Says this affair hurts our image." Ethan read the words, then stood. "Then it's time to remind them an image isn't worth more than the dignity of the person who leads it." At the studio, Isabel sensed the storm before she saw it. Whispers from clients, reporters hovering. Rosie, confused, asked why people were taking pictures. When Ethan arrived, the air was already tight. "Please don't come in," Isabel said, voice steady. "It's too exposed." "That's exactly why I need to be here." Her eyes glossed. "They're calling me a leech, Ethan, saying I used you, that this studio is an improper gift, that I—" "Let them talk. Easy for you to say. You have your name, your empire. I have only my reputation, and hers." Rosie hugged Mr. Buttons close, watching. Ethan reached for Isabel. She stepped back. "I can't live under your spotlight. I fought too hard for the little I have. I won't let them ruin it." He swallowed. "What do you want me to do?" "Let me handle this, my way, alone." She shut her doors. Ethan respected it, but the absence ached. Meanwhile, the board convened to consider removing him. He realized he had nothing left to fear. Losing her would be worse than losing any title. In that meeting, before suits and cameras, Ethan stood, voice calm. "If loving someone with integrity and courage threatens Blackwell Industries' image, maybe the problem isn't love. Maybe it's what we've become." Silence fell. Clara's smile tightened. "You'll throw it all away for her?" "I'm not throwing anything away. I'm finally choosing what matters." He left the room. Simple. Revolutionary. At the studio, Isabel worked alone, needle flashing, when the bell chimed. Ethan walked in with a different stillness. "I resigned." Her hand stilled. "What?" I stepped down. "I want a life that doesn't need quarterly reports to exist." "You're out of your mind," she whispered. "Maybe. It's the first madness that makes sense. You didn't have to do this for me. I didn't do it for you. I did it because I finally understand what freedom is." Between them, the quiet was dense, but gentle. He picked up the dress she was stitching, a simple white piece. "Who's it for?" "A special client who doesn't know she's getting married yet." He smiled. Let's hope the groom's brave enough. Let's hope the bride can forgive. He knelt, not to beg, but to surrender. If there's room, Isabel, I want to come home. Even if home smells like thread, glue, and hot chocolate. You don't need luxury to prove love, Ethan. Just consistency. Then let me prove it. Rosie appeared, Mr. Buttons in her arms. Can I be the dress girl? Their laughter cracked the tension. The world felt like it could right itself again. Dust still in the air, scars still tender, but hope very real. Destiny, however, had one more test. The next morning, an envelope slid under the studio door, a lawsuit. Clara Bennett was suing Ethan and Isabel for conflict of interest and misuse of company resources. The past had come to collect. Ethan looked at Isabel, voice steady. This time we face it together. She squeezed his hand, then let it come. In the window's reflection, they stood as three, Isabel, Ethan, and Rosie, surrounded by colorful fabric and stubborn hope. Life was stitching the final panel, resilience. The days that followed were a blur. Clara's suit spread through the press like flame through dry straw. Headlines, commentary, speculation, the seamstress and the fallen CEO. This time, Ethan didn't hide. While Clara threatened documents and made TV statements, he stayed calm. Let them talk, he told Isabel. Truth doesn't need to shout. Still, tension pulsed. Isabel sewed compulsively, each stitch a silent prayer. Rosie drew hearts and taped them to the studio wall. Magic shields, Mommy, to protect us. Ethan watched, humbled. That little girl with a battered bear understood what many adults don't. Love is presence, not performance. In court, the air was tight. Clara arrived with lawyers and cameras, face lacquered with superiority. Isabel, simple and dignified, gripped Ethan's hand. When the judge called on Ethan, he stood. No script, no legal jargon, just truth. For years, I thought success meant power. Then I met a woman who showed me true success is going to sleep in peace, knowing you did the right thing. I didn't invest in Isabel. I invested in humanity. If that's a crime, declare me guilty. Silence. Something in the room loosened. Clara opened her mouth, but the faces around her had already changed. The gavel fell, case dismissed. Isabel exhaled. Ethan closed his eyes, releasing a lifetime's held breath. Outside, cameras missed what mattered most. The look they shared, gratitude and peace, layered like fabric on fabric. Months passed. Button and Thread became a small city reference point. Isabel hired 2 single moms, turning the studio into a refuge for fresh starts. Ethan, far from boardrooms, learned life at the tempo of a sewing pedal, the slide of fabric, the smell of coffee, the soft hiss of steam. Their love stopped being news and became everyday life. Market roses, laughter in cheap diners, bedtime stories. Rosie grew in the gentle weather of being wanted. She called Ethan my almost dad until the day he made it official, not just to Isabel, but to Rosie too. On a honey-gold afternoon with light filtered through lace and thread, Ethan knelt amid spools and satin. When I met you, Isabel, I thought love was an equation. Everything had to fit on a plan. You taught me love is a seam, sometimes crooked, sometimes tight, always handmade. You showed me we can begin again, and that what's made with love doesn't come undone. Tears shook her smile. Rosie set Mr. Buttons on the ring box. He approves, Mommy. Their laughter was easy. The yes came soft and certain. They married in the studio garden under simple lights and wildflowers. Lauren's toast held tears. My brother went on 23 blind dates. None worked because he kept finding people who saw what he had, not who he was. Then Isabel showed up late, with a child on her hip and a handmade dress. She didn't see the CEO. She saw the man. And that saved him. Applause rose. Quiet, true. Ethan and Isabel danced slow, Rosie between them. The music felt like a prayer. At sunset, Isabel rested her head on his shoulder and whispered, "Do you believe in destiny?" Ethan smiled. "I think destiny is just the name we give the seams life makes when we stop fighting the thread. If there were a camera, it would pull back there. Warm light, a dress moving in the breeze, a little girl spinning with a stitched-up bear. The story that began as a concession ended as a choice, not the choice of perfection, but of love that stays when the shine fades and life's fabric shows its mending. In the end, it isn't luxury that keeps us. It's the affection stitched into every ordinary day. It's the restart that arrives without warning, carrying a teddy bear and a promise of peace. This story reminds us that true energy comes from within, the kind that renews us every day. If this story touched your heart, check the pinned comment to discover products that inspire renewal and balance. Leave a like and subscribe to join us in our next story.